what was magical in his life and his reaction, and this is on an email to me at about 1 o'clock in the morning, don't know what he was doing, but he said, "Wow, that's so deep." It feels like I have to say something like the birth of my first child, but I don't have any kids. So he says it was the day his parents surprised me with my first bike. Everybody, oh. 1 minute I didn't have it, and bam! There it is. That's what I said. What would he like to make disappear? Believe it or not, my Cyrus. However, before you get too excited, not forever. He'd like her to reappear at 30, when because he's tired of having something that's not serious on his news feed. He's obviously on the wrong news feed. Based on how Brittany's aging, maybe Miley won't come back as sitting on a wrecking ball, but she'll look like a wrecking ball. All right, title of his presentation, Impossible. Whose opinion is it? Give it up for a thing! Green button on? Yeah? You on? No? Okay, let's try. Okay.
Just 2 minutes.
Go left. There, yeah. Down. Go to hit. Yeah,
go. So let's go back in time. I'm about 14 years old. I'm sitting on a cliff with a couple of friends. Cliff could be about, let's say, the roof high. And all of a sudden, one of my friends says, it's impossible. I don't think anybody can jump off this cliff. And it takes about 5 seconds for everybody to unanimously agree that it's impossible. I had other options. I said, actually, I think I can do this. And you can imagine a 14-year-old boy is like, the others who are going to decide this is, next thing I know, everybody starts screaming, jump, jump, jump. So okay, now I had no choice, so I jumped. But unfortunately, this is like 2004, so there are no smartphones to record this moment. So when they told everybody else that I had jumped, no one believed it. So I found myself back in the same scene. I had to jump again for everybody else. And stranger this time, I jumped again. Okay, now fast forward, I think I'm probably about 16 years old now. And at this time, in the back of my mind, I'm saying, okay, if school doesn't work out for me, I think I'm going to be a dancer. So how this used to work out is, my brother and I would watch TV and see this cool dance routine or something, and I'll be like, wow, okay, that's impossible. I think I changed my mind. I'm going back to read my books. And I'll say, okay, I'm done with dancing. But my brother would stay at it, practice and practice, and after a couple of days, would be able to do it. And the moment I see that he's able to do it, I'll put down my books, and I'm like, okay, my brother can do it, I definitely should be able to do it. And I go practice as well, and after a couple of hours or so, I'll be doing my own version of it, even not the same thing, but close to it. And this is pretty much how my dancing career went. It's about me never wanting to dance, and then at the end of the day, forcing myself to actually learn it and do it. And then now let's fast forward. I think now I'm about 18 years old. I'm sitting on the sofa watching TV, fully focused. It's the 2,800 meters finals for the Olympics. And it's got like all the super athletes at that time. It's got Usain Bolt, it's got Safo Powell, it's got Walter Dix and all these guys. So we all expected it to be a very close final. So it starts off 10-meter mark, 20-meter mark, it's all close. By the time we get to the 50-meter mark, Usain Bolt starts pulling away. And he's going, and all this, even though I'm narrating it, but it's all happening within less than 10 seconds, over 100 meters. By the time he gets to the 80-meter mark, he's already jubilating and like hitting his chest and running across. And we're like, we still have 20 minutes to go. And believe it or not, he finished the race and still broke the world record. So this was like phenomenal back then. Like I could do a whole Pecha Kucha just on this picture. But then if we go back to when I was being retarded and jumping, but like I think after I jumped, obviously my leg hurt, so I was trying to act like it didn't hurt so people don't know. So I was walking funny so people don't know. But I think what I was thinking more was like also walking around campus and people pointing like, oh, there goes that guy. And I wasn't sure if it was for a good reason or if it was for my newfound fame as the retarded guy who literally jumped off a cliff twice. But I think what I was thinking of, what like was in my mind more was the fact that after I had jumped, two of my friends who initially said it's impossible to jump, jumped as well. So it got me thinking like, what could be responsible for this switch? Like initially one moment they're saying it's impossible, we cannot do this. Then the next moment they're doing it. And then if we go again further to the story of me trying to be like a dancer or so, it was pretty much the same story. Of initially I say, oh, I cannot do that dance routine. And the moment I see my brother or I see something I can relate to, when I see him doing it, all of a sudden I'm doing it. Like, so it got me thinking a lot, like, what is this whole thing which is happening? And if you move forward as well to the race, to Usain Bolt's race, at that time, the world record was 9.72 seconds. So, and people had believed at that time it would not be possible for anyone to run below 9.70. And believe it or not, even though he slowed down, he still had enough time to break that record. And people just thought, okay, it's probably one of those freakish incidents in life which will not happen again. But strangely, once he broke that record, ever since then, two other athletes have broken the record as well. And that would be Johan Blake and Tyson Gay. They have also broken that record again. So it got me thinking about, so now if you think about all these three stories, I guess you're wondering now what connection do they all have? And if you notice the consistent theme which you have in all these stories is that initially the activity doesn't change. So in the beginning it's jumping, running, dancing, the activity stays the same. But initially you think it's impossible, then all of a sudden something happens and then it becomes possible. So what then is this? And so that's a consistent thing which we have through those stories. And I guess it applies to all of us. Like we always wait for someone else to do something. We always wait for that trailblazer. We always wait for that person to take that first step along the path less traveled. And then all of a sudden that thing which seemed impossible to us becomes possible. So then I have to think now, so what exactly is impossible? And then you realize impossible is not even those things which you have tried before and failed at it. It's just those things which you have denied yourself the ability to even see it as possible in the first place. Impossible is not even a fact, it's an opinion which comes with an expiry date. It comes with a timestamp, and all of a sudden you see it differently. So I said, okay, let me come up with a cheat sheet on how to do the impossible. What does it take to do the impossible? The first thing you have to acknowledge the possibility. You have to be able to see and tell yourself, okay, I think I got this, I can do this. And once you say that, you pretty much can do it. If it's to jumping, if it's to running, or if it's a handstand, you can do it. And after you have accepted that possibility, the next step obviously is to take action. If you say, okay, now I've acknowledged the possibility that I can do this, then you can go further and run. Then you can go further and do the handstand. Then you can go further and jump. And obviously I use jump in a metaphorical sense. So please don't go jumping on the field. So thank you very much.